Very good morning, students. Welcome you all 11th standard students for this economic online class. Let us now go to the part 2 of the lesson. So in the part 1 we have seen about what is rural economy, what is rural development, causes for rural poverty, all those concepts related with the rural areas. Let us now continue with the lesson. The first topic is rural unemployment. What is unemployment? We have seen this in the part 1 itself. So once again, unemployment is a situation in which a person is actively searching for employment but unable to find work at the prevailing wage rate. Persons after finishing their studies, they have to go for a job. If they are not going for a job or if they are not getting a job, then those persons we can call it as unemployment. It is a tragic waste of manpower. You know that India is famous for manpower, but all our manpower will be wasted if they are unemployed. So it is a tragic waste of manpower and underutilization of human resources. India has more and more human resources, but all these human resources are not utilized properly. That means they are not given a proper employment to work. As long as there is unemployment, social problems cannot be stopped. So since there is unemployment going on, the other problems like poverty, slumming, ragging, rag picking, all these things will not be stopped. An economy cannot achieve development at all. If this unemployment is prevailing in the country, then the country cannot achieve the development. So as on 4th October 2016, rural unemployment was 7.8%, which is less than the urban unemployment, that is 10.1%. So if you compare the rural unemployment and urban unemployment, rural unemployment is little less when you compare to the urban unemployment, and overall all India unemployment rate is 8.5%. So 8.5% of our human resources are simply sitting idle without having any job. Rural unemployment in India are categorized into three classes: open unemployment, concealed unemployment or underemployment, and next one, seasonal unemployment. So this unemployment in India, that rural unemployment can be categorized into three groups: open unemployment, concealed unemployment or underemployment, next seasonal unemployment. Let us see one by one the characteristic. In open unemployment, unemployed persons are identified as they remain without work. So if any person, if they are remaining without any job or work, those persons are called as a open unemployment. This type of unemployment is found among agricultural laborers, rural artisans and literate persons. So all the agricultural laborers, rural artisans, that is village artisans, and literate persons, they are all waiting for a job, so they are called as a open unemployment. In concealed unemployment, it is difficult to identify who are underemployed, for many are employed below their productive capacity, and even if they are withdrawn from work, the output will not diminish. That is, it is enough that 10 persons can do a particular job, but 15 persons will be employed. With the help of these 15 persons, with the help of this additional 5%, the productivity is neither going to be increased or it is going to be decreased. So these 5% are called as a concealed unemployment. It is also called as disguised unemployment or underemployment. So they are also called concealed unemployment, disguised unemployment, or underemployment. People are employed more than needed and they will no way help for the increase or decrease of the productive capacity. So this type of unemployment is found among small and marginal farmers, livestock rearers, and rural artisans. So this kind of unemployment situation is more serious in villages than in urban areas. So this type we can see more in the villages, especially in the agriculture field, but not in the urban areas where you have industries. Disguised unemployment in rural India is 25% to 30%. So 25 to 30% unemployed people, even though they work, they do not contribute anything for the productivity. In seasonal unemployment, employment occurs only on a particular season, supported by natural circumstances, and the remaining period of a year, the rural people are employed or partially employed. Seasonal unemployment, getting employment only during a particular season. If you take agriculture laborers, land owners or land laborers, so they have job only during the rainy period. Other times they will be remaining simply idle without having a job. In seasons like ploughing, sowing, weeding and harvesting, there is scarcity of labor and in the rest of the year there is unemployment. ஸோ அந்த அறுவடை பண்ணுற நேரத்தில் மட்டும்தான், நாற்று நட்டு அறுவடை பண்ணி முடிக்கிற வரைக்கும் தான் these persons will be having a job. Other periods they will be remaining idle. So this type of unemployment is called as a seasonal unemployment. It is pathetic to note that a farmer who cultivates one crop in a year usually goes without a job for almost 5 to 7 months and ultimately commit suicide. So farmer will have a job only for 5 months in a year. Remaining months there is no job, no income, no food, no standard of living, nothing. So the farmers are getting vexed and finally ultimately they are going to commit suicide. They are committing suicide. So according to the Agricultural Labour Enquiry Committee report, the extent of underemployment is on the average 82 days of unemployment in a year for 84% of agricultural laborers. So they have consolidated, that is Agriculture Labour Enquiry Committee report, they have consolidated and telling that the underemployment is on the average 82 days of unemployment in a year. So there are the farmers, they are getting only 82 days work in a year out of 365 days. Remaining period they are employed. Like this, how much percent of agricultural laborers are there means 84% of agricultural laborers are working only for 82 days in a year. Next, causes for rural unemployment. Why most of the people in villages are remaining unemployed? Yes, there are many reasons. Let us see one by one the reasons. First reason, absence of skill development and employment generation. Absence of skill development and employment generation. That is, lack of government initiatives to give required training and then to generate employment opportunities. The first is the government is not giving job for the people. They are not giving proper training to the people and employing the people. Second reason, season nature of agriculture. If you take rural village people, they know only one occupation, that is agriculture, and that too it is seasonal. So agricultural operations are seasonal in nature. That is, only in season you have the job and depend much on nature and rainfall. Only if the rainfall favors, even in that particular season you will be having a work. If there is no rainfall, then throughout the year the agriculturists will not have any job. Therefore, the demand for labor becomes negligible during off season. There is no need for labor during the off season. So, non-farm employment opportunities must be created. So, new job New training should be given apart from the agriculture for the rural people so that they will be employed in the non-farm employment opportunities also. So government should come forward to create this non-farm employment opportunities for the rural people. விவசாயத்தை தவிர வேறு தொழில்களையும் நாம் விவசாயிகளுக்கு கற்றுக் கொடுக்கணும். Government should come forward and teach them, train them, and so that they will be employed. Lack of subsidiary occupation. Rural people are not able to start subsidiary occupations such as village people. They do not know to start other occupations like poultry, rope making, piggery, etc. Poultry, கோழி வளர்க்குறது, rope making, கயிறு திரித்து சணல் திரிக்கிறது, piggery, pigs rear பண்ணுறது, due to shortage of funds for investments and lack of proper marketing arrangements. So these village people, these farmers, they do not know these occupations, poultry, rope making and piggery, because they don't have proper investments, proper money, plus they don't have a lack of proper marketing arrangements. This restricts the employment opportunity and rural family income. This restricts the employment opportunities. They will not go for any of the job, and what will happen if there is no job, no income for their family. Government must arrange funds for these people. Which people? The agriculturists who are remaining without work during the half season. However, as now they pay huge interest to the local money lenders for they are unable to get loans from formal sources. So village people, they are not aware of banks, they are not aware of loans. They just go to the money lenders, borrow money for a high rate of interest, and they will be using it for their food. At last what happens? They will be in a position to, not in a position to repay the money, and they will be committing a suicide. Mechanization of agriculture. The landlords are the principal source of employment to the farm labor. That is, the landlords, the landowners, or in olden days they were called it as the zamindars. So these people only will be giving job for the agriculturists, poor people. So what happens now? In olden days, for all the operations, for all the agricultural operations, it was being done by the human beings. But now, machine replaced the men. That is, instead of using the human being, machines are doing all this works for the operations like ploughing, irrigation, harvesting, threshing, etc. So once again what happened? It reduces the employment opportunities for the farm labor. Before, human beings used to do all the works, but now due to the advanced technology, what happens? Instead of the laborers, the machines are doing the work. So once again it is creating a unemployment problem in village. Capital intensive technology. The expanding private industrial sector is largely found in urban areas and not creating additional employment opportunities due to the application of capital intensive technology. So government must establish firms to absorb surplus labor power. No doubt industry field is keep on increasing in India. They are setting up of number of industries in the urban areas, and what type of industries they are setting is capital intensive technology, where machines play a vital role than the human beings. So what happens? Not creating additional employment opportunities due to the application of capital intensive technology. So the government should take steps and construct the industries in such a way that it absorbs surplus labor power. They have to build the industries in such a way that most of the people are employed, but not the capital intensive technology. They should start the labor intensive technology. Defective system of education. Next point. The present system of education has also aggravated the rural unemployment problem. They are telling that the rural unemployment problem is existing because of the present system of education. Large number of degree producing institutions has come up in the recent years. Degree producing institutions has come up in the recent years. Students also want to get degrees only, not any skill. All the students, they want to get only degrees in the paper form. They doesn't want to improve their skill and knowledge. Degree should be awarded only on the basis of skills acquired. But now our Indian government are awarding degree not on the basis of skill but on the basis of marks. The unemployed youth should get sufficient facilities to update their skills. So they are telling that the unemployed youth should get sufficient facility to update his skill. So in order to reduce rural unemployment in the country, there is a need to take integrated and coordinated effort from various levels. So India has to develop. Economic development is not possible in India if we have the problem of unemployment. So naturally steps will be taken by the government in order to avoid the problem of rural unemployment. Let us see what are the steps they are going to take. First one, subsidiary occupation. To reduce the seasonal unemployment, rural people should be encouraged to adopt the subsidiary occupation. Yes, the rural people should not stick on only to the agriculture work. They should come forward and take interest to start the other subsidiary occupations like what? Poultry, piggery, rope making, etc. விவசாயத்தை மட்டுமே நம்பி உட்காரக்கூடாது. அதை சார்ந்த மற்ற தொழிலையும் கற்றுக்கணும். Yes, loan should be granted and proper arrangement should be made for marketing the products. Government should come forward and supply loan for them to start a new business and also help them for their marketing their products. Next one, rural works program. Rural works program such as construction and maintenance of roads, digging of drains, canals, etc. should be planned during off season to provide gainful employment to the unemployed. So government is keep on doing the other construction works like road maintenance of road, digging of drains, constructing canals, etc. But the government should plan in such a way that all these works are done only in the off season so that these agriculture farmers, when they are in the period of unemployment, they will be getting employed. Next, irrigation facilities. Since rainfall is uncertain, irrigation facilities should be expanded to enable the farmers to adopt multiple cropping. So the natural source of water for agriculture is rainfall. So we should not always depend on the rainfall because it is not certain. Some year what happened, we may not getting any rainfall. So in that case, the government should come forward and provide proper irrigation facilities so that it will help the farmers to adopt the multiple cropping also, to cultivate more and more crops in a rotation. The increased cropping intensity creates additional demand for labor. If the cropping intensity increase, naturally there should be a need for a additional labor also. Rural industrialization. To provide employment, new industries should be set up in rural areas. This will open new fields of employment and also change the attitude of rural people towards work. So to provide employment, what they are telling is we have to start the industries in the village also, so that all the village people will be getting the employment, and it will change their attitude that they have to go to industries and work apart from working only in the agricultural field. For this, government has to do something. Private sector would not take up this responsibility. Private sector will not set up industries in village where you have the unskilled and untrained people. So government only should come forward and set up the industries in the rural areas. Technical education, very important point. Employment oriented courses should be introduced in schools and colleges to enable the literate youth to start their own units. So in the school level itself, proper training should be given for the students technically, so that when they finish their studies, they need not wait for a job, they can start their own job. Next is rural industries. Rural industries embrace all industries which are run by rural people in rural areas. What is rural industries? An industry which is run in the rural areas by the rural people are called as a rural industries. These industries are based primarily on the utilization of locally available raw material, skills and small amount of capital. So what all you need to run this rural industries means locally available raw material, skill and a less amount of capital, that is money. The rural industries can be broadly classified into cottage industry, village industries, small industries, tiny industries and agro-based industries. Let us now see first what do you mean by the cottage industry. Cottage industries are generally associated with agriculture and provide both part-time and full-time jobs in the rural areas. So these cottage industries are started in the rural areas. It is also little bit associated with agriculture and it gives job both part-time as well as a full-time. Let us see what it is. So these industries are carried out by artisans, that is by people in their own home and at their own risk for their own benefit. Artisans may combine this work with another regular job. That is, it is like a side business. The people can do their regular job. At the same time, he can start a new business also in his own house at his own risk for his own benefit. No or little outside labor is employed. You need not employ more people, just one or two will be employed. Normally the members of the household provide the necessary labor. So for our own business, for our self-employment own business, who will be the laborers means our family members. Ourselves and our family members will be the laborers. So these industries are generally hereditary and traditional in character. Hereditary means what your parents have done, what your grandparents have done, the same will be done by you also. It is called as a hereditary and it is traditional. It is not modern, it is only traditional. No or little power is used. Power supply will be very, very less. So these industries usually serve the local market and generally work on the orders placed by other industries. So they will not keep on manufacturing the product and keep it in the godown. No, that will not take place. Based on the order received, they will be producing the goods. Examples of cottage industries are mat making, coir making and basket making industries. The principal cottage industries of India are handloom weaving, that is kaila thari neirangal aduthaan, cotton, silk, jute, then pottery, washing soap making, conch shell, handmade paper, horn button, mother of pearl button, cutlery, lock and key making industries. So these are all the cottage industries. That is, it's like a business, side business started by a person with the help of its own people. Next is village industries. Village industries are traditional in nature and depend on local raw materials. It is also traditional in nature, not modern, and it depends on the availability of local raw materials. They cater to the needs of the local population. So they will be manufacturing the products that are needed for the local population. Examples of village industries are gur and kandsari, cane and bamboo basket. Gur and kandsari, the byproducts that is coming out from the sugar. Cane and bamboo basket, shoe making, pottery and leather tanning. These are almost similar to the cottage industries. So cottage industries and village industries are more or less the same, little different. Both are traditional in nature, both depend upon the local raw materials and they all cater to the needs of the local population. Next is small scale industries. Most small scale industries are located near urban centers. They produce goods for local as well as foreign markets. So any industries which are small in size and produces small products are called as the small scale industries. They produce goods for local people as well as for the foreign markets also. So examples of such small scale industries are manufacture of sports goods, then manufacture of soap, electric fans, footwear, sewing machine and handloom weaving. So all these are the examples of the small scale industry products. So SSIs are also known as micro, small and medium enterprises. They are defined and categorized by the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development Act 2006. The Act categorizes different scale of industries on the basis of investment in plant and machinery in case of manufacturing industries and on the basis of investment in equipment in case of service sector industries. So based on the investment in plant and machinery, they will be categorized whether it is a micro or a small or a medium enterprises if it is a manufacturing industry. If it is a service sector industry, they will be categorized on the basis of investment in equipment. Okay, so these are all the small scale industries. Next is agro based industry. What do you mean by agro based industries? So industries which are being started depending upon the raw materials from agriculture is called as the agro based industries. So these industries are based on the processing of agricultural produce. So these industries will take the raw material from the agricultural sector. Those type of industries are called as the agro based industries. So agro based industries may be organized on a cottage scale, small scale and a large scale. These industries tend to develop household settlements around them as they employ more labor on a regular basis. So these industries require more labor on a regular basis. Examples are textile. Yes, textile. This textile industry will get a raw material that is cotton from the agriculture. Sugar industry will get the raw material sugarcane from the agriculture. Paper, once again the waste from the sugarcane. Vegetable oil industry from agriculture vegetables. Tea and also the coffee industries. So all these industries will function getting the raw materials from the agricultural sector. So these industries are rightly called as a agro based industries. Next topic, rural indebtedness. What's the meaning of indebtedness? கடன் வாங்கி திருப்பி அடைக்க முடியாத நிலைமை, that is called as a indebtedness. So rural indebtedness refers to the situation of the rural people unable to repay the loan. They will get the loan from the money lenders or from the bank, but they cannot repay the loan. That situation is called as a rural indebtedness. So existence of the rural indebtedness indicates the weak financial infrastructure of a country in reaching the needy farmers, landless people and agricultural laborers. So existence of this rural indebtedness indicates, it shows that the weak financial infrastructure of our country. It shows the government inefficient rule in such a way it is not reaching, not helping the needy farmers, landless people and the agricultural laborers. Listen, the farmers borrow loan. So the farmers, they will be getting a loan or money for various purposes like agricultural operation, supporting the family in the off season, purchase of equipments in the recent years, expenses on celebration like Diwali, Pongal, etc., liquor consumption, everyday evening they need a liquor to drink, and medicines for everyday life, and everything goes on without any limit. So due to lower income, the villagers are unable to repay the loan or pay the pending interest on the principal amount. So they are happily borrowing the money and they are spending all the money for various reasons. But at last they are unable to repay the loan, that is either the interest or the principal. So the data of the National Sample Survey Organization reveals that only 30% of the poor borrowers get credit from the formal banks. Only 30% agriculturists get loan from the bank. Remaining people are getting it from the local money lenders. கந்துவட்டி காரங்கிட்ட தான் கடன் வாங்குறாங்க. So according to the All India Debt and Investment Survey 2002, the share of institutional credit has declined from 66.3% in 1991 to 57.1% in 2002, with a corresponding increase in the informal channels of credit. So from the 66% of credit sanction, it has been declined to 57.1% in 2002. It shows what the village people are not getting loan from the bank. They are neglecting the bank and getting it from the local money lenders. Yes, let us now go to features of rural indebtedness. Why? What are the reasons for this rural indebtedness? Nearly 3/4 of rural family in the country are in a debt. 4 பங்கு மக்கள் கடன் பட்டிருக்காங்க. Yes, our India itself is getting a debt. The amount of debt is heavier in the case of a small farmer. What happens? A small farmer, he is borrowing more amount of money, but he is not able to pay it. Cultivators are more indebted than the non-cultivators. That is, the local farmers are more indebted than the non-cultivators. Most of the debts taken are short-term and of unproductive nature. Short-term, within short term they have to repay it, and it is unproductivity. The promotion of debt having high rate of interest is relatively high. The main thing is the poor farmers, they are not able to repay the interest and also not the principal. So most of the villagers are indebted to private agencies, particularly the money lenders, not to the bank but to the money lenders. What they will do, they will squeeze the blood of the farmers. Farmers oda ரத்தத்தை உறிஞ்சி எடுத்துருவாங்க. Yes. Causes for rural indebtedness. ஏன் மக்கள் போய் கடன் வாங்குறாங்க? First point, poverty of farmers. He is already poor. What he will do? He has to run the family, so he has to borrow the money. So the vicious circle of poverty focuses the farmers to borrow for consumption, cultivation and celebration. அவனோட அன்றாட வாழ்க்கைக்கு, விழாக்கால சலுகைக்கு, கல்டிவேஷன் எல்லாத்துக்குமே he needs the money. So where he will go for money? So he is borrowing. Thus poverty, debt and high rate of interest hold the farmer in the grip of money lenders. அவனோட ஏழ்மை, கடன், வட்டி இதெல்லாம் சேர்த்து அவன் மணி லெண்டர்ஸ் வட்டிக்காரனோட கைக்குள்ளே போய் மாட்டிக்கிறாங்க. Failure of monsoon. Frequent failure of monsoon is a curse to the farmers and they have to suffer due to the failure of nature. Failure of monsoon is very important point, very important for the farmers. If the monsoon is good and the rainfall is good, what happens? The cultivation will be good and the farmers will be getting more money. If the rainfall is failure, what happens? They cannot cultivate the crops. So once again they have to go for a money, debt. Therefore farmers find it difficult to identify good years to repay their debt. They cannot say next year I will be getting more amount from the cultivation, so I will repay it. They have that confidence, but unluckily what happens? That particular year monsoon will fail them. Monsoon becomes failure. Litigation. Due to land disputes, litigation in the court compels them to borrow heavily. Due to land disputes, litigation in the court compels them to borrow heavily. There are some land dispute, there may be fight among themselves. So in order to pay to the court, they are forced to borrow the money. Being uneducated and ignorant, they are caught in the litigation process and drive away their savings and resources. ஒரு சின்ன இடத்துக்காக போராடி கேஸ் போட்டு கோர்ட்டில் கேஸ் போட்டு அந்த வழக்கை நடத்துறதுக்காகவே கடன் வாங்கி கடைசியில் அந்த கடனையும் அடைக்க முடியாது, அந்த லேண்டும் உங்கள் கைக்குள்ளே வராது. And moreover, they are uneducated and ignorant. They doesn't know how to proceed the case and how to come out of the money lenders. Money lenders and high rate of interest. The rate of interest charged by the local money lenders is very, very high, and the compounding interest leads to perpetuate indebtedness of the farmer. வாங்குகிற பணத்துக்கு மட்டும் வட்டிக்கு கிடையாது, வட்டிக்கும் வட்டி போடுவாங்க. அதுக்கு பேர் தான் காம்பவுண்டிங் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட். வட்டிக்கு வட்டி leads to perpetuate indebtedness of the farmers. So these are all the reasons for rural indebtedness. Why the farmers are borrowing money? Because of their poverty, because of the failure of monsoon, because of the litigation, that is cases in the court, and next the money lenders are charging the high rate of interest. Now measures. What are the measures that the government has to take in order to remove the rural indebtedness? Let us see what are the measures. Several remedial measures have been introduced to reduce rural indebtedness. It includes regulation of money lenders. Proper law should be put for the money lenders. Development of more rural banks. Development of regional rural banks. Setup of more microfinance. Formation of self-help groups, Suya Udavi Kudu. Primary cooperative banks and land development banks. Crop loan schemes. Lead bank schemes. Micro units development and refinance agency bank, that is Mudra. Promotion of subsidiary occupation, off-farm employment opportunities, skill development programs, and so on. So all this should be introduced by the government in order to avoid the rural indebtedness. There is setting up of various banks and the proper regulations for money lenders. Then promotion of subsidiary occupation. Encourage the farmers to set up other subsidiary occupation apart from agriculture. Off-farm employment opportunities, that is off-season, we have to provide employment for the farmers. And skill development program, proper training should be given for the agriculturist. However, the interest rate charged plus transaction costs for poor people and self-help groups are much higher as compared to that for the rich people. For instance, education loan is costlier than the car loans. So the loan that has been given for the rich people is less when you compare to the loans that they are giving for the poor people. They are giving an example, education loan which is needed by each and every poor person is costly than the car loan which can be asked only by the rich people. Yes, this is a government, Indian government has set up in such a way, things has to be changed. Let us see the one by one the banks, in what way they are helping the farmers. First one, RRBs, that is regional rural banks. So regional rural banks, it came into existence on the recommendation made by a working group on rural banks appointed by the Government of India in 1975. So this RRB was started in 1975. It was set up with a view to developing rural economy by providing credit and other facilities, particularly to the small and marginal farmers. Small and marginal farmers க்கு பணம் கொடுத்து உதவுறதுக்காகவே இந்த பேங்க் வந்து செட்டப் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. So RRBs are set up by the joint effort of the center and state government and also the commercial banks. So it was set up by the joint effort of joint venture of center and state and the commercial banks. So at present today there are 64 regional rural banks in India. The regional rural banks confine their lendings only to the weaker section. Poor people மட்டும்தான் இவங்க loan கொடுப்பாங்க. And the lending rates are at par with the prevailing rate of the cooperative societies. They do not charge more rate of interest. It will be more or less equal to the prevailing rate of the cooperative society. So these are all about the regional rural bank. It was set up in 1975. It was mainly set up to give credit facilities to the small and marginal farmers. It was a joint effort of the center and state and commercial bank. At present there are 64 regional rural banks. So these banks provide money only to the weaker section and the lending rates are at par, at equal with the prevailing rate of the cooperative societies. Next is microfinance. Microfinance, also known as microcredit, small credit, is a financial service that offers loans, savings and insurance to entrepreneurs and small business owners who do not have access to traditional sources of capital like banks or investors. So this microfinance, it is also known as microcredit. It is one small financial service which give loan and insurance to small business owners who do not have any access to any of the banks. The goal of microfinancing is to provide individuals with money to invest themselves or their business. The main aim is to give a helping hand for the entrepreneurs. So microfinance is available through microfinance institution which range from small non-profit organization to a larger banks. In India, NGO, non-government organizations play a pivotal role in the development of the microfinance service. So microfinance industry in India have grown fastly in the last 2 decades. In 2009, the total number of microfinance institutions in India was around 150. Microfinance, it is also like a small bank, small insurance, like which supply money for the small entrepreneurs and small business owners. Okay, and it ranges from a small non-profit organizations to a larger banks. Next is the self-help groups. சுய உதவி குழு, சுய நிதி குழு, சுய உதவி குழு, self-help groups. So self-help groups are informal voluntary association of poor people from the similar socio-economic background up to 20 women. Average size is 14. So these are mostly framed by the women. That group should consist of 20 women. At least the average should be 14. Okay. It is a voluntary association of all the poor people from the same background, same economic background. They come together for the purpose of solving their common problems through self-help and mutual help. So they come together for what? To solve the common problem, either through self-help and mutual help. The self-help group promotes small savings among its members. They save small amount, that is from rupees 10 to rupees 50 a month. Every month they will be investing 10 to 50. It is the wish of the people. The savings are kept with the bank. So all these 20 persons or 14 members amount will be kept in a bank. After saving regularly for a minimum of 6 months, they lend small amount to their members for interest. So after 6 months what happen? If anybody among them needs the money, they will lend this money for them for interest. Based on their performance, they are linked with the bank for further assistance under SHG Bank Link program started in 1992. It is a holistic program of micro enterprises covering all aspects of self-employment, organization of the rural poor into self-help groups and the capacity building, planning of activity clusters, infrastructure build-up, technology, credit and marketing. So it is very interesting one, self-help group. It has been formed by the women of same economic background. Total members should be 20, at least it should be 14. So they all come together for the purpose to solve the common problem. So what they do, they started saving the money ranging from 10 to 50 every month. So all their savings are kept in a bank. After 6 months, with the total collection, they lend this amount to the members who are asking for interest. So based on their performance, they are being linked with the further banks, that is SHG Bank Link program started in 1992. So with the help of this SHG, they have set up various aspects like self-employment, organization of rural people into self-help groups, and the capacity building, planning of activity clusters, infrastructure, technology, credit and marketing. The main objective of this program is to bring the beneficiaries above the poverty line by providing income generating assets to them through bank credit and government subsidy. So the main objective is to help the people who are below the poverty line and to bring them up above the poverty line, and they help them to make the bank to give the credit facilities. So NABARD, that what I mean by NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, estimates that there are 2.2 million SHGs in India, representing 33 million members that have taken loans from banks under its linkage program to date. The SHG banking linkage program, since its beginning, has been predominant in certain states, showing spatial preferences, especially for the southern regions like Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. So this NABARD bank, that is National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, also support this SHG, and this SHG has become a very popular one in the southern regions like Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. Let us see the major features of self-help groups. What are they? So self-help group is generally an economically homogeneous group formed through a process of self-selection based upon the affinity of its members. So it is economically homogeneous, not heterogeneous, by a single group formed through a proper process of self-selection based upon the affinity of its members. Most SHGs are women's group with membership ranging between 10 and 20. SHGs have well-defined rules and bylaws, hold regular meetings and maintain records and savings and credit discipline. So each and every SHG have their well-defined rules and bylaws, and they conduct meeting regularly and they maintain the records and savings and credit discipline. SHGs are self-managed institution characterized by participatory and collective decision making. Not a single person will make the decision, it is a collective decision making. Next one, Mudra Bank, that is Micro Units Development and Refinance Bank. Listen, it is a public sector financial institution. It is a public sector financial institution which provides loans at low rates to microfinance institution and non-banking financial institution, which will then provide credit to micro, small and medium enterprises. It was launched on 8th April 2015. So it is a government bank. So this bank will give loans to microfinance institution and non-banking financial institution. Then with the help of this money, this microfinance and non-banking financial institution will provide loans to micro, small and medium enterprises, that is MSMEs. It was launched on 8th April 2015. What are the objectives of the Mudra Bank? Regulate the lender and the borrower of microfinance and bring stability to the microfinance system. It will regulate the lender and borrower of microfinance and thereby it brings the stability. So it extends finance and credit support to microfinance institutions and agencies that lend money to small businesses, retailers, self-help groups and individuals. So it extends the finance and credit support to microfinance institution and which thereby helps the small businesses. It registers all microfinance institutions and introduce a system of performance rating and accreditation for the first time. It also offers a credit guarantee scheme for providing guarantees to loans being offered to micro businesses. It introduces appropriate technologies to assist in the process of efficient lending, borrowing and monitoring of distributed capital. So what are all the objectives? It regulates the lender and borrower of the microfinance. It extends credit support facilities to the microfinance institutions. It registers all microfinance institutions and it introduces a system of performance rating. It offers a credit guarantee scheme. It introduces appropriate technology for the efficient lending, borrowing and monitoring of distributed capital. Next is rural health, nutrition and sanitation. Health is an important component for ensuring better quality of life. Yes, it's very true. Health is an important component for ensuring better quality of life. In this corona period, it's very important. Large masses of the Indian poor continue to fight hopeless and constantly losing the battle for survival and health. Large masses of the Indian poor continue to fight with the disease. At the present situation, not only the poor, the entire world is suffering with the or fighting with the diseases, that is COVID-19, we can tell. Indian rural people are suffering with various epidemics like smallpox, cholera, malaria, typhoid, dengue, chikungunya, COVID, etc. This is mainly due to lack of medical facilities, deep ignorance and poverty. One is due to lack of medical facility, another one deep ignorance, people are not aware of the diseases, and next one is poverty. So Indian Constitution clearly lays down that states shall regard the rising of the level of nutrition and standard of living of its people and improvement of public health as among its primary duties. So Indian Constitution clearly mentioned that the primary duty of each and every state government and the central government is to take care of the health and the standard of living and the proper nutrition of the people. Several programs for nutrition have been implemented. What are the program? It includes supplementary feeding program, midterm meal program, nutrition education through printed media and television, compulsory fortification of common salt within iodine, skill in terms of health standard. Sri Lanka is better than India, and in India, Kerala is better than Tamil Nadu. So it's still in terms of health standard, Sri Lanka is better than India in health. And in India, if you take, Kerala is better than Tamil Nadu. So both Tamil Nadu as well as India have to improve in the health status. Next is National Rural Health Mission. The National Rural Health Mission was launched on 12th April 2005 to provide accessible, affordable and quality health care to the rural population. So NRHM, National Rural Health Mission. It was launched on 12th April 2005 to provide accessible, affordable and quality health care especially for the rural population. So NRHM seeks to provide equitable, affordable and quality health care to the rural population. What are they? So NRHM focuses on reproductive, maternal, newborn, child health and adolescent services. The emphasis here is on strategies for improving maternal and child health through a continuum of care and the life cycle approach. So NRHM seeks to provide equitable, affordable and quality health care to the rural population, especially to the vulnerable groups. So NRHM focuses on reproductive maternal, newborn, child health and adolescent services. Next is rural infrastructure. In that first one, rural housing. So house is one of the basic need of every family. Yes, each and everybody needs a house. The housing problem is getting aggravated due to rapid adaptation of nuclear families. So what happens? The housing problem is getting aggravated nowadays due to the rapid adaptation of nuclear families. Housing does not mean provision of house alone, but also proper water supply, good sanitation, proper disposal of sewage, etc. The problem of housing can be tackled by the development of low-cost technology in house construction, provision of adequate housing finance, and provision of land sites to the landless workers in the rural areas. So as per the NSSO data, 38% of the households lived in with one room, while another 36% lived with only two rooms. So India, if you take, 38% of the people are living in a house having only one room. 36% of the people are still living with a house having only two rooms. Next is rural roads. Road transport is an important constituent of the transport system. Yes, road transport is very important constituent. Rural roads constitute the very lifeline of rural economy. So the village people economy is running only on the rural roads. A well constructed road network in rural area would bring several benefits, including the linking of remote villages with urban center, reduction in the cost of transportation of agriculture inputs and promotion of marketing for rural produces. It also helps the farmers to bring their produce to the urban markets and to have access to distant markets and other service. So setting up or constructing a road in the rural areas is very important, as road transport is an important constituent of the transport system. Rural road, constructing road on the village area is a lifeline of the rural economy. So if you construct the roads in the village area, it will benefit them in many ways. That is, it will link them with the urban center, it will reduce the cost of transportation of agricultural input, and also it will promote the marketing for the rural produces. It helps the farmers to bring the produce to the urban market and also to have access to distant market and other services. They can very easily take their produce to the market, and from the markets they have bring other products also. This road will be very essential. So it is the responsibility of the government to set up the roads in the rural areas. Next, rural electrification. What's the meaning of electrification? Supplying electricity is called the electrification. Rural electrification means providing electrical power to rural areas. So the main aim of this rural electrification are to provide electricity to agricultural operation and to enhance agricultural productivity. Only if we supply electricity, the pump sets, everything can be running, and thereby the agriculture produce can increase. So in order to improve this facility, the supply of electricity is almost free for agriculture purposes in many states, and the electricity tariff charged in rural areas is kept very low. For the agriculture purposes, the electricity is free. So in India, 99.25% of villages were electrified at the end of March 2017. It's a great job. See, 99.25% of villages were electrified. Yes. 100% electrification was achieved in villages of 20 states and union territories. Let us see what are those 20 states. Which are those 20 states? Chandigarh, Delhi, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Rajasthan, Daman and Diu, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Goa, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Lakshadweep, Puducherry, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andaman and Nicobar Island, Sikkim and Tripura. So in all these states and union territories, 100% electrification was achieved in both the towns as well as in the villages. The factors hindering the progress of rural electrification in India are the factors hindering the progress of rural electrification in India are why most of the villages are not electrified. The reason, first one, lack of fund. The generation and transmission of power involves huge expenditure, but the fund allocation is very low. ஒரு வில்லேஜ்க்கு எலக்ட்ரிசிட்டி சப்ளை பண்ணுறதுன்றது நிறைய it involves huge expenditure, but the government fund is very low. Interstate disputes. As there are interstate disputes in managing power project, power distribution is affected. Interstate, there is a fight among the state itself in supplying the power, in the distribution of power, so the power is affected. Uneven terrain. As rural topography is uneven without proper connection, developing new lines are costlier and difficult. Yes, supplying electricity in the mountainous area and the desert area and all is very difficult because of the uneven topography. High transmission loss. Transmission loss and power distribution is almost 25% in rural area. Transmission is very less in village. Power theft. Unauthorized use and diversion of power are evil practices adopted by affluent people that hinders the rural electrification process. Unauthorized use, without the knowledge of the government, the village people are taking the power and using it. Next is requirements for rural development. So efforts need to be made by the government to improve the farm and non-farm rural real incomes. Then investment in basic infrastructure. Government has to come forward and invest in basic infrastructure, and social services need to be increased for the villages. Coordinated and integrated programs for solving the present problem and to achieve sustainable development to be designed. So various programs should be implemented by the government in order to solve the present problem of the villages. Persons and leaders with an understanding of reality of rural problems and with the required foresight vision should be consulted while designing the development programs. While designing the programs, persons and leaders with an understanding of the reality of a rural problem and with the required foresight vision should be consulted, so that they will be introducing a proper well-designed development program. Yes, we come to the conclusion. So crucial steps to strengthening the rural economy are already being taken through various policies. These steps include investment in areas ranging from health, information technology, education, infrastructure, and small business. The administration is committed to building on these unprecedented measures in the months and years to come. PURA, that is provision of urban facilities for rural areas, needs to be given due emphasis, without which Indian villages cannot prosper. Yes, it's true. Yes, students, I hope you have understood all the concepts very clearly. Thank you.